Welcome back to the Press Club. I am Clinton Reynolds. I'm here with Jerry George and Maria Fontenelle. 1000 Words Media in the house. Also Jerry George. Maria, I'll have you describe Jerry.
Jerry, as you said, veteran journalist. From the moment he began speaking, I think he's been spreading news.
Yes, yes. The first thing he said, you know, he gave his mother a story as soon as he was born. So, that's Jerry. That's Jerry George. All right, Jerry, to your top story and the unemployment issue, and it's not only an issue, as you were saying, that affects St. Lucia. It's a worldwide phenomenon.
Yes, but you know, one of the things that particular report pointed out is the non-gains for women particularly, and that tied into a story which we reported when we heard that Priska, I don't remember her last name, but my friend Priska, who is at the Uptown Gardens Girls Center 30 how many years, and they seem to, well, they have made some strides but not enough, you know, to address the kinds of situations that we face, St. Lucian women face. And then we see the whole thing about prostitution, the decriminalization, the legalization, and talks about it. And the report was saying, despite important gains in education among young women, the employment outcomes continue to lag behind those of young men. And if we sort of transpose that, what they're saying is that it's really a dismal thing to be a woman in today's world. And as a girl, you know, it's going to be a very upward battle, you know, in the years to come, because when we factor in things like the global recession and the stigma and discrimination as it regards, you know, women and these other issues, you're finding that it makes no sense. It makes no sense. And yet we hear how governments say all the time, you know, youth are our priority, and it never seems to pan out that we're making any great progress. And I suspect it's simply because that some of the strategies that are used perhaps are more not youth focused, you know, are not really addressing the issues as confronted by young people in the world.
Well, I love the story in terms of the actual statistics, because too often we tend to spout off and say things like, oh, women are overtaking men, everybody's concerned about women, nobody's concerned about men, we need to have a focus on boys now because boys are lagging behind. But then it's interesting that although boys appear to be lagging behind in school, when it comes to the job market, globally it appears that the females are the ones that are having problems. So that is really quite a contrast. Why is it that the females are doing better in school, but when it comes to the work market, they're the ones lagging behind? And we have seen progress because there are quite a few women in positions that you would not have seen a woman before, in terms of high-level position, management positions, entrepreneurs starting their own business, being the top of their own business. But then at the same time, it does not seem that overall the picture is improving for women versus men. But again, as you said, it's overall is about the young people. And the lack of jobs, and that's something that in St. Lucia with the last election, that was quite a focus.
Now, you spoke about, you know, people at higher levels, the women at higher levels, but this one focuses on youth, and we're looking at people who have not developed very many skills as yet, or they're just developing their skills and their experience as far as work is concerned. So we're looking at, you know,
ground level
school leavers,
job openings,
exactly, those who have just left high school, those who have just left community college and that kind of thing, and even some who have just left college, because if you have gone into college straight after doing high school,
college, university as well, because I think youth goes up to about the age of 34, 36. Yeah, so you could
no, well, I mean,
to that age.
You know, you look at that, but even at that age, or just a little younger, you have not you have not acquired the experience that, you know, an older person has acquired. And you're looking at people who right now, it has to be a combination of knowledge and experience, or in formal training and experience, in other words. So I mean, it's a dismal picture that has been, you know, pointed out there.
I also wonder, if you look at it, how much impact would the prevalence of teenage pregnancy have on those numbers? Because for young women to get a job, you have to look at the job providing enough money for them, because there are a lot of, when there's pregnancy at that age, what normally happens is that the young girl would be the one that would take the responsibility on, not the boy or the young man in question. So then they would normally have to think of, well, if I'm going to get a job, where does my child stay? or I have to get a job within that pays me enough money to afford childcare. So again, when they say opportunities, they're just saying that these opportunities are not there. So of course there may be opportunities for work, but then the reason the young men are maybe taking it up more than the young women would be that the young men can't afford to, based on, of course, I think there's quite a high number of teenage pregnancy and young motherhood still, despite all the anti-AIDS, anti-HIV work and all the anti-teenage pregnancy work.
But historically, I mean, this is how it has been, you know, the men go out and they work. So there is still that stigma attached to women and going out and work. You know, it is not as prevalent as it used to be, but it still exists. So
I think certain jobs, again, at that level, for example, a place where you have the cooking in the kitchen, where you have to work at all hours, something like a night auditor, they would not take a woman for that job. Just because it's late, they figure a woman would be more at risk from being attacked if she's going home at that hour.
You know, stuff
certain
with
jobs
physical,
would automatically be,
physical labor.
Construction work, that kind of thing. I know young women who've studied, I know young women who've studied, they study carpentry, etc., but they aren't working because most times they would go, they would. They do quantity surveying, they do those jobs that are more in the male field, but then to get the job would be a problem for them.
See, she's doing it again. You see, in the male field.
No, it's but I said that are considered to be in the male field. That are considered to be in the male field, in the field of what men should be doing. Because then you'd have a young woman, for example, working on a construction site, and she would be responsible for telling the men on the construction site, this is what you should be doing. This is the amount of material you should be using to get this thing done properly. And of course, you would automatically meet a resistance. So even though she does get the job, then you have issues there, and then most employers anticipating that there will be an issue would not hire her to do the job.
No, but even go ahead, Jerry.
No, but the other thing that we have to consider is, at least the report is saying, that the growing gap between what the types of education young people receive as it relates to the world of work, you know, it keeps widening. And although we have said several times in St. Lucia that we need to shift focus in terms of our education, we still see year after year, government after government, still going down the same, road, not making the necessary adjustments so that these gaps can be closed. So we place a lot of emphasis on academics, etc. This is a good thing, but it seems that in today's world there needs to be a parallel track, even for persons who are strong academically, to also have other skills apart from just brain power and, well, I won't say brain power, but apart from just the
academic,
the academic mind. And I think that if we look at this government who has promised to address the situation, if it has to have any success, then we have to revamp almost immediately and as fast as we can the education system, because it seems to be this is what is weighing us down and not giving the impetus for the young people to get the jobs of the future, that drive the jobs of the future. Whereas we're talking about chalk and board, we're talking about whiteboard and technology. How many of our schools are technologically equipped to sort of deal with this in terms of the types of education? I don't think anybody is saying do away with the academics of reading, writing, and arithmetic. But I'm saying that there also needs to be technology, texting, and something else.
Yeah, some IT-based education. That's necessary.
Now, I mean, because how many academics do you need really? Seriously, I mean, you do need them, but how many do you need? But you need more technical people than academic people. Once the academics set up the programs, whatever, then you have the technical people who will be implementing. You need more people to implement than put the program together. But we have it reversed. We're trying to develop a million academics and no technical people, and that is our problem. I wish to see the day when the education system is revamped and that happens, when we can have more that happening.
Even something like art in schools is important, because right now if you look at the entertainment field, for example, let's say, for example, now a lot of people, with the amount of money people spend, for example, at the casino, that is money that could be going to local artists, local entertainers, local performers, the Silver Shadow dance troops, right? There's Crystal Lights. These people, if they were at a higher level and they could actually perform, were given the opportunity to perform more places, and if the people who are spending the money at the casinos had a greater appreciation for these areas. And now when you put art education in school, something like that governments seem to fail to see the importance of, you create an industry for the artist, and you create that appreciation among everybody else in the school as they're growing up, that even though I become an engineer, I still have an appreciation for the arts. I can still go to a museum, go to an art exhibition, appreciate the art, pay for it, and let the person who's creating that art be able to sustain themselves on that money. But then, so if you create that art education in school, you are spreading it to a point where you're creating a new industry for young people, and they just don't seem to make that connection of putting art, of making sure that sports in school, there's a focus on sports in school, there's a focus on art in school, music, all these things. If you have a more holistic system from primary school, secondary school, up to college, to university, then I think the job market would automatically diversify.
But what you're saying is so critical, Maria, because the fact is that if we're going to have a ministry dedicated to creative industry and our education system cannot supply that industry, then it means that we will be importing artists or people to run that industry for us and to manpower up that industry. I am waiting to see which secondary school is going to be known as the School of Cultural Art or Design or something like that, you know, where people could be trained in these industries. For example, over the last 20 years, for example, we've had the Jazz Festival. And I think one of the promises was that it would have given us people versed in things like lighting and sound engineering, etc. Apart from, you know, just the performers, you know, that we enjoy. But I don't think that promise has ever been delivered, because we have not given much attention. Even the artists themselves have not pushed for that kind of promise to be fulfilled. And so if we are going to have a creative industry, it means there must be the infrastructure where students who believe that they have a facility, a competency as far as arts and creative work, will find a way to do that. We don't have to, just as we have, for example, the Edna Manley College in Jamaica, we should have an equivalent right here in St. Lucia, because I'm sure if research is done, there would be some sort of association in terms of a school being in Jamaica, and we're seeing how Jamaica is going so far with its creative products.
Well, I mean, we'll continue to talk about that, because that issue will not change overnight. That situation will not be resolved overnight. We just need to keep plugging away.
But you know, just let me make one point. But we have to design the education system to where young persons can be empowered to ask for the things that they want. Because you go around to schools, yes, students are you know, they're learning and they're looking forward to the world of work, but they cannot articulate what is it that they wish to have, you know, or how can their needs be satisfied. And perhaps that is one of the linchpins of the problem, that, you know, if we're going to be relevant to young people should be able now to be able to tell, you know, those in power, or those at least not in the way that we are accustomed of getting, that we're not fulfilling that.
Then we have to believe that children should be heard as well as being seen.
Exactly.
Well, let's take a break right now. On the other side of the break, we'll discuss the other two top stories Maria's in mind, and I guess we can discuss a little more of this if we have a little more time. So stay with us. The Press Club will continue in a moment.